So where did we stop yesterday? Which topic? Hello?
Creation of vendors.
Yeah, we have discussed about vendor master data.
Okay, vendor master data, creation of vendors. So it's in here, accounts payable, vendors and all vendors. Excuse me. So I'll just create one more new vendor here. So it took the number 03. Well, I can give a name here. So suggest me a vendor name. So let's go with somebody saying something.
Tata Motors.
Motors, mostly they will be on customer side because this is a rubber company, but that's okay.
Okay.
So I just create it as a foreign vendor, okay? And this I'll give it as a foreign vendor, and I'll save it. So this saved, you see vendor 003 Tata Motors is created, and since it's a foreign vendor, so you see this terms of payment is defaulted as net 30 days here without giving. How?
While creating the vendor group, we have given the terms of payment as at 30 days for that.
Correct. We have given default terms of payment as net 30 days for
Yes.
vendor
For
group.
the group. Yeah.
Correct. From there it is taking. So we have some miscellaneous details, and I'm not giving this actually. Other than this, we have purchasing demographics wherein I am changing the currency here. I'm changing it to INR. Okay, I want it as INR for this, not US dollar. So this is a foreign currency for this vendor. Okay. So I'll save this vendor. So that would be the minimum information that I would give for this vendor. So other than this, what else we have? So yesterday we have discussed all the menu details within this vendor beneath it, but we will also discuss these details actually, which are there in the top. Okay. So the first one very important option is maintain here on hold. If I click on vendor here, so you have save, new and delete. So this is all for saving, creating a new one, deleting the record. So you can't delete a record once if you have any transactions for that record. So if you only when you create the record and you do not post any transactions, then you can delete this vendor record. Once there are any transactions posted for the vendor, you can't delete it. Remember that point. Okay, and other than that, we have this option keeping the vendor on hold. So we can keep a vendor on hold from not doing transactions. So when I keep a vendor on hold, users cannot post any transactions to the vendor. System says that this particular vendor is kept on hold. So you can't post any transaction for the vendor. So what kind of transactions we can keep on hold for this vendor? There is another option here, same. So here if I keep on hold, and here I can see options: invoice, all, payment, requisition, never. No means vendor will not be kept on hold. It by default it will be no. Never means you never want to keep the vendor on hold. If somebody is going to keep the vendor on hold, they will see this option that never keep this vendor on hold, and they won't try to change it because somebody gave it never, because they might have a purpose that they have given it never. So they have to inquire and then change the hold status. Then there is one more for invoice. Suppose if I say invoice means we can't do invoices with this vendor. Other than invoices, we can do rest other things like we can create purchase requisitions, we can make payments to the vendor. So payments can be made, but invoices cannot be created. System will stop the users from posting invoices for this vendor, but payments we can make it. In the same way, if I say payment means payments will be kept on hold. Invoices can be done for the vendor, but payments were kept on hold. If I select only payment here. Requisition means only purchase requisitions can be kept on hold. Remaining all like invoices and payments can be done without any problem or without any issue. Other than this, we have this option all. If I keep all means this vendor will be kept on hold for all transactions, all kind of transactions like invoices, requisitions, payments, or anything that you have to do with the vendor. So everything will be kept on hold. So mostly they'll keep for hold for all. So when they want to, excuse me, when they want to keep a vendor on hold, they'll keep it for all. Or if they specifically want to keep it on hold for any of the specific transactions, they can give it here. So as I was saying, if a vendor is kept on hold, you can't post any transactions. I mean, if it is kept on hold for all, which means you can't post transactions, any kind of transactions. Okay, that's the matter. And other than this, we have hold release date. So you can temporarily keep the vendor on hold for few days. So it's like today is 30, right? So you can keep it on hold until 31. Sorry, I feel some sound from some other. So that's all. If I can keep the vendor on hold for certain days, so I can give from today, starting today, till how many days I can keep this vendor on hold, I can give here. Sometimes vendors are also kept on hold in case if there are any duplicate vendor accounts created for the same vendor, or in case if there are any payment mismatches or disputes between vendor invoices and payments. So until the disputes are settled, these vendors can be kept on hold. So that once the disputes are settled and everything is clear, then you can again open the vendor from hold to normal regular vendor. Okay, you can also give a reason code why you are keeping the vendor on hold. So there are some reason codes which we have previously created in the journal, I think, and we have activated them for accounts payable also. You can create as many reasons as you want again. So there's just a topic of creating reasons like vendor reasons. And just like bank reason codes and general ledger reason codes, we have vendor reason codes. So you can create them and give one reason code why you are keeping this on hold. Okay, this option apply hold in all legal entities means you can keep the vendor on hold in all legal entities. Suppose this vendor is there in multiple legal entities. You can create the same vendor in multiple legal entities. You can link all those vendors to each other. Means here it will be different account number. There is a different number. Another company it's a different number. But there will be a link to all these three accounts that are created in various legal entities. So when you enable this option, all the vendors linked to it or associated to it in other legal entities will also be kept on hold automatically. So I don't want to keep all the legal entities on hold. If I want to keep only this on hold, I can keep it on hold. So it says that vendor hold set for all for vendor account. And I can remove the on hold also. If I want, I can come back again and say never, or I can come back and say no and remove this state. 1 second. First remove the date, then change it to no, and then keep it as okay. Then vendor hold set to no. So means there is vendor is not kept on hold. You can make any transactions with the vendor. That's the thing. Understood? Any confusion with this? Hold, keeping the vendor on hold?
I have one question, Jayaprakash.
Yes, Pala, please.
Is there a difference between never and no? Actually, there seems to be like actually.
So no is a default option we have. So never means if you keep never means it is a kind of indication for users like do not keep this vendor on hold. Some suppose if I am going to keep it on hold and I see the status as never means I don't keep it on hold because somebody kept it as never means with some purpose. They might give some purpose code here, reason code. With some purpose they said that not to keep this vendor on hold at any time at any situation.
Okay,
So that
okay.
so that indicates that user should not keep this vendor on hold at any situation. That's all. If it is normal no means they can keep it on hold. That's all. Okay, if you keep it as never also you can change it back, no problem. But just that is a kind of indication for someone who is going to keep it on hold. That's all. Then we have one option, add vendor to another legal entity option. So give me a second, just a minute. I'll just come back. We'll discuss about that topic. Apologies guys, I'm back. Okay. So add vendor to another legal entity. Suppose that I want to add one of this vendor to another legal entity. So I will go for this one, Maruti Suzuki. I want this vendor to add to another legal entity. So if I'm adding it to another legal entity means it will not get the same code. It will get a different code according to that legal entity. So in order to add this vendor to another legal entity, I can use this option, add vendor to another legal entity. Click here, select to which company you want to add this vendor to. I'll select one legal entity called as ADS. Okay, I have another company called Amazon in my organization list. I selected that company. So within that, I can see some vendor groups. Again, I have domestic, foreign, and tax groups. These are the three groups I have in that company ADS. I'll transfer it to same domestic group. So I can give currency here. Which currency you want this one for this vendor? Because that might be in a different country. So if you want to give a different currency, you can give, or if you want to give the same currency, you can give the same currency. And by default, it will show hold here. You say that no need to hold this, and you click on OK. Let's see what happens if I click on OK. See, it is directly taking me to, so you can see the warning company changing company accounts to ADS. So it directly changed the company accounts to ADS now. I am in ADS company. Okay, see this vendor is created. Vendor number 007 Maruti Suzuki is created in ADS automatically, and it took the name details as well as group. And if there are any terms of payments which are matching, it will also take those details as well. Okay, if I go back again, so I'll be back to my company MRF. If I refresh it, see I'm changing company accounts back to MRF. Now I can open the same tab and duplicate these vendors and then go for ADS company to show you the vendor that is created in ADS. In this way, you can copy a vendor account to another legal entity, and it will directly create a link between that vendor and this vendor. So here this one, not this actually. I'll change it back to ADS. This is the list of vendors I have in ADS. Earlier to now I have 6 vendors. Now I have 7th vendor. You can see here. 7th vendor name Maruti Suzuki is created. Clear guys? Copying vendor to another legal entity. This option for all of you. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So then coming to setup menu, not a lot of them are important. The most important one is this one, giving bank accounts to the vendors. So you can create bank account for the vendor here using this option. Just click on bank accounts. It will take you to a page where you can create a bank account for the vendor, which means vendor bank details. You can save it here. So that for electronic payments transactions, it will pick this bank account. You can create as many bank accounts as you want. That also works. So I'll create a new bank account here. You can also select a bank group. Suppose if the vendor bank account is also into ICICI group, normally you can select. So these bank groups normally come from our cash and bank management, but this won't get linked to cash and bank management. Don't worry. That we will create here is generally for the vendor only. So you can see ICICI, ICICI group, or else you can just give the name as ICICI bank. Then you can give the accounting number, bank account number here. You can use a bank account number like this, anything. And then you can give a SWIFT code, IBAN number. So all these are bank details. So in the SWIFT code place, you can give this IFSC code if you feel to give. So you have a IFSC codes, right? ICIC triple 006. In that manner, if you have any IFSC code, you can give it here. That's all. So you can also create as many bank accounts as you want. Suppose that if you have 2-3 bank accounts, one of them will be active until so and so date. Suppose you can give starting from today's date until next month, and it will be active. So later it will get deactivated, and system will automatically take the other active bank account. If it is deactive here, so after the expiration date, the status will change to deactive. If it gets deactivated, what happens is system will not pick this bank account for posting electronic payments. Normally, while we post an electronic payments, we'll get this file, export file. So in that export file, this bank account details will be picked by system. So if it is inactive, it won't pick. It will pick the other inactive bank account. If you create new bank account for the vendor, it will pick that bank account. Okay, it's a kind of complex scenario, but not most of them will ask this in an interview. But you can create multiple bank accounts and use them. Mostly Europeans use this process of electronic reporting and printing the bank details onto the electronic reports. Other than this, we have few things related to the same bank like text code, message to bank if there is any exchange reference, cross rate, and the currency. If there is any default currency for this bank account, suppose if this vendor is a foreign vendor and the bank located in foreign country, so you can give that foreign currency to this bank. Then you can give some pre-notes. That option is not available actually here. Then you can add address to the bank. You can add the branch name and where it is located, the bank, you can add it here. So other than that, you can also add the contact information of the banker, of vendor banker, telephone number, extension, mobile number, email address of the vendor bank account. Okay, so that you can call the vendor bank and try to understand if the money that you have sent is deposited into the vendor account or not, and like that. So that's the whole purpose of creating these bank accounts. So you can normally give that bank account in the vendor master data. Once you have created the bank account, you can see it somewhere here. Here we have the option under payment menu. We have option of bank account. You can select this as the default bank account. So once you select it and save it, you will get the bank account number here, the number that we gave in that bank account. If you have multiple, you can select one of the bank account as default bank account. So your system will prioritize that bank account normally when you make any payments or electronic payments. Okay. So that's all about this bank account. Other than that, we have some contacts. So you can create some contacts or link some Outlook contacts to this vendor, or else normally you can give the contact details here itself. Also, you can add contacts here in this place. It will, just for memory sake, it will save it in another place. That's all. Then we have vendor state tax IDs. Most specifically for US, we see this option. Normally, according to the state where the vendor is located in US, so according to that, there will be some tax IDs. You can save that here. State name, then that state tax ID, then the date and details. Just a kind of registrations you can save. Other than this, we have some summary update certifications for the vendor. If there are any, you can upload all of them. So just the details of the vendor, that's all. Other than this, coming to this part, we'll discuss other parts. Okay, coming to this part, you have some information called registration IDs. So you can give some registration IDs for your vendor normally. You can give tax registration ID for the vendor, or you can just add new and give some IDs here, like tax ID as well as any company incorporation ID if they have. You can add all those registration IDs here usually. Then you can also add, if there are any other registration IDs for the vendor which are related to trade, then you can add all those details here in the registration IDs menu. You can add as many as you want. Mostly for Indian vendors and customers, we add the GST code here in this area. The same way you can also add other codes, like I can just give it test here. Once I save it, I'll get this activated. Here I can add registration numbers. So this registration type, again, we have to create in system administration or organization administration, I think. So you just click on view details and it will take you to that page. There I have this federal code USA, and I can give some registration number like how it is registered. Then description, Companies Act registration, section number according to which section, and who is the issuing agency. You can give the issuing agencies like GST authority or tax authority or Companies Act authority, anything you can give the issuing authority name. Yeah. And issue date, when it was issued, you can give that. So mostly for US and UK customers or vendors, they upload this data of registrations for each vendor. So that's one point. So I'm removing this, I'm going back. So it's just a search place again. Here, once you have configured registration IDs, you can search those registration IDs here in this page normally. That's all. So out of all this, one of the most important one is this part. So here you can see what are the transactions we have for the vendor, what are the invoices that were posted for the vendor, and what is the existing vendor balance. Suppose for this vendor Maruti Suzuki, which we have created previously, for this vendor we have posted a lot of payment transactions, so check payments and all, VDC payments, we have done everything. So if I click on transactions here, if I want to see any list of transactions that are posted for this vendor, I can see it here in the transactions page. Here, transactions, if I click on this, I can see all the transactions that are posted for this vendor. See, we have posted payments, a lot of payment transactions on July 9th, July only, right? Yeah, August 9th. Then this is on September 9th actually. We have done transactions. So these are the various transactions. The one that I see on this side are actual transactions. This side are the reversal transactions actually. So when we create invoice, it will show this side. So this menu is really important. Regarding this menu, we will again discuss or come back and discuss all the options here. During once after we create some invoices and payments, we will discuss this all these menu details, okay, within the transactions. So other than this, I have this option balance. Normally, if I click on balance, it will show me the vendor balance. There is a positive balance of 7,200 for this vendor, which means I have made lot of advance payments. Normally, if we have to pay to the vendor, it should be a negative balance. But here you see a positive balance because you have made some advance payments. So that is why you see the positive balance. That's all. Then you can see open transactions. What are the open transactions for this vendor? What are the settled transactions? You can see here. Again, this option we will discuss it during the settlement part. Okay. Other than this, we have invoices. So you can click on invoice and see what are the invoices we have for this vendor. I think we did not post any single invoice for any of the vendors, so that is why we don't see any invoices mostly. It's loading it, but generally shows there are no invoices. It's an empty page. You can see if we post some invoices, it will normally show the invoices for this vendor. So we'll see that part once we arrive at that place when we post some invoices. Okay. And other than this, what we have, the important things are under procurement. You can directly create a purchase order from here, or purchase requisition quotation from here, request for quotation from here, or create a purchase requisition for the vendor from here, or you can add some agreements from here, trade agreements and purchase agreements. So purely into supply chain, all these activities are mostly into supply chain. Here the procurement menu is related to supply chain. Okay. So I'm skipping this part to discuss about this invoice part. So here you have some options to create a new invoice journal, create a payment journal directly from here. Suppose if I click on payment journal, it will take me to the vendor payment journal automatically. So it is taking some time. Yeah, here see it automatically created a batch for payment journal. Here I have to give the journal name, go back and select the vendor account once again. It will not directly create the payment journal for the vendor, but it generally creates a payment journal. That's all. Okay. Then other than this, we have some options for posting and pricing for matching policy, price tolerances, default account. So all these things actually we will discuss going further, because these options we have to first understand how they are configured, then only you can understand these various topics. Okay, we will cover all these topics of matching policies, price tolerances, how to give account for the vendor and all. Then we have some option of settle and undo settlement. This also like settling the invoice with payment, and then if you wrongly settle anything, you can do the undo settlement from here option. That is one. Then related information like invoices, pending vendor invoices, payment history, promissory note statistics, then promissory note journal, invoice history, and matching details. So you can see all those information here. If you understand what is invoice, how to post invoice, then what is matching policies on invoice, then you can come back to here and find it or click on this inquiry and see. But now if I click on any of this inquiry, I see empty because we do not create any invoices. So once we have invoices in place, remind me, we can come here and create them. Okay. Then we have this option of prepayment. I think this option is not there now. I am not sure. But the application of prepayment and reversing the prepayments you can do from here actually. If there are any prepayments made to the vendor, we have quite made some prepayments for this vendor, right? Let's see if we can reverse anything. I don't have any prepayments. Actually, these prepayments are for prepayments on invoices. So we will see that topic further. How we can create prepayment invoices and make some prepayments on the invoices before the delivery of goods. We'll see that. Other than that, we have this general menu wherein we can see some details. In with this, most important could be cases and creating cases. Not most of them do that, but you can create one. So this option of cases, what it does is, if there are any disputes with the vendor for any payments related or any invoice related, you can create a case. A case means like a kind of conversation will start. So whoever have spoken to the vendor or tried to recover anything from the vendor or participated in the dispute addressal, so those points can be added in the cases. Not only for vendors, for in lot of areas in Dynamics you can create cases. Mostly for vendor disputes and customer disputes, they'll create cases, and these cases are normally understood for, I mean, clearing purpose only. So every discussion or top, they'll write it as a notes on the case. That's all. Nothing more important about it. Okay. So we'll again cross-check these menu details sometime when we have created much transactions for vendors. Okay, like invoices. So that would be all about this vendor creation and vendor master. So normally they don't create any invoices and payments from here. Usually mostly they will access these three transactions: invoice details and balance of the vendor. Okay, these are the important areas. So we'll again come back here anyway to discuss about how to settle the transactions within the vendor menu. And that's all. Just keep the points in mind. I mean, try to link the points here when we discuss each topic again about the vendors. So other than this, we have one more topic actually to discuss today, which is very important in the perspective of interviews as well as in the perspective of course or job. So the topic name is posting profile. So does anybody have any idea what is a posting profile? Anyone? What could be a posting profile? I'll only tell you then. 1 second. Posting profile is a configuration where we can link, not main, ledger accounts to vendors or vendor groups. And one more point, posting profile acts as a bridge between subledger and subledgers and general ledger. So posting profile is a configuration where we can link ledger accounts to vendor or vendor groups. Normally, previously when we posted a vendor transaction like payment transaction, I have shown you the voucher where accounts payable account got debited instead of when we make payment for the vendor. Every time we made payment for vendor, accounts payable account got debited. So why accounts payable account got debited is that reason is that we have created a posting profile actually. So why we need to create a posting profile? Is it a compulsory configuration? Or why it is that we have to link subledgers to general ledger? Does anybody have any opinion on this? Anyone? Why we have to link the accounts to all the subledger transactions? Subledger means accounts payable in this case. So for accounts payable transactions, why do we have to link main accounts, and why does we have to post balance into general ledger?
Is it to get aggregate value? I mean, of all the subledgers in general ledger?
Correct. You will get aggregate value as well. The main reason is that, see, for every transaction you do, you should get accounts affected first, because the main accounts that you maintain in the chart of accounts are the real accounts. So why we call them main accounts? Because they are the real accounts. So in order to prepare any reports or understand the trial balances or prepare balance sheets or profit and losses, those are the accounts that will normally use by business. So even though you do a system in accounts payable, and if that does not affect any ledger account in the general ledger, then it's a wrong process. Or if it is not being accounted into any main account, then it's not correct. And it will create a lot of confusions in accounting process. So that is why we normally link a specific account, or we can also give multiple accounts. I mean, accounts payable, domestic accounts payable, foreign accounts payable, employees. You can give different accounts for each group of vendors also. So that every transaction you do with those particular vendors, the debit you do for the vendor, it will get eventually debited to that particular account. The credit you do for that vendor, it will eventually get credited to that particular account. Okay, so how to configure that account? How we can give multiple accounts? So we will see that topic in configuration of posting profile now. So you understood the logic, right? Why do we have to link a main account to the subledger module? So not only in accounts payable, in accounts receivable, as well as in fixed assets, in tax module, in any other subledger modules. Cash and bank also we have linked accounts, right? For every bank account we have given an account. Remember. So it's compulsory that you have to give proper accounts. Without giving a posting profile, you cannot do any transaction in accounts payable. Okay, it's a compulsory setup. Remember that. So you should at least have one posting profile. So you can create multiple, but it's for different reasons. But mostly they'll create two posting profiles, only one for normal general and one for prepayment transactions. I'll tell you the difference as well, why they create multiple. But if you understood this logic, or if you have any confusion, just tell me. Okay. Any of you, any confusion in this? Just plug in the charger in the van. Okay, we'll take that silence as no. Then how to configure a posting profile, we'll see now. So in accounts payable, I have this option setup. Under setup, I have vendor posting profiles. Accounts payable, setup, vendor posting profiles. So I click on vendor posting profiles. I can see a posting profile called general, which I have created actually earlier. Because we have to do some check transactions, right, using that vendor. So without this setup, we could not do it. So that is why I've created this one. I'll just delete this and create once again for you for explanation sake only. No problem. Saying it cannot be deleted while dependent vendor parameters exist. Delete dependent vendor parameter and try again. Okay, actually I have given this as a default vendor posting profile in accounts payable parameters. So from there, if I remove it from there, then only it will be able to be deleted. Then why to delete it actually? No need to delete it. I'll just explain. Okay, if you can click on new and create a posting profile here. just give the name as post general and give a description as general posting profile. Okay, then the most important part is this one, this area. What are the different things we can give here? So I'll remove this and give once again. Okay, within this. So see here, I'll click on add. Okay, and I have few options here for account code, table or group or all. So what happens if I take table, what happens if I take group, and what happens if I take all? We'll see. If I take table here, I can select one particular vendor. Out of 3 vendors, I can select each vendor. I can see that list of vendors here. You can select one vendor like Maruti Suzuki I've selected. For this vendor, I can give a special account like accounts payable account. I can give single account for single vendor. Okay, not most of them will prefer to give single main accounts for single vendors because there can be thousands of vendors in business. You can't give 1,000 different accounts for 1,000 vendors. So for that sake, what they will do is either they can give a different account according to the group of the vendor. So if you want to if you want to link a main account according to the group of the vendor, then you can do it like this. Select group here. In the group, normally if you remove this, you will see all the groups here. Domestic group, foreign group, local group, and employees here. You can select one group like domestic group. For all the vendors that falls into domestic group, the account that we give here under summary account will get effective. That account will get debited and created eventually whenever we do any transactions. Like I can give this accounts payable account 2 lakhs. So now I'll get a doubt like what if I want to give another group, another account for another group? How can I do it? So you can just click on add here. Select another group here, or you can select another single vendor also if you want to just talk. Selection is table means if you select group means you can select another group like foreign vendor. So this foreign vendor you can give another account, accounts payable foreign, just like 2 lakh you gave, right? I'll give this just for example, I'll give this account. Okay, I can give a different account. Here I have one account, here I have different account for this group of vendors. So in this way I can differentiate. I can give different accounts. Other than this, I can also give, suppose that for these 2 groups, I want 2 different accounts, I gave them. Rest all for the remaining all the vendor accounts, whatever I have, other than that are falling into this group and this group. Okay, I might have another different vendors. For those vendors, I want a single account. So how can I give it is I can just click on add and select all here. All means all the vendors will be selected. All the vendors other than these 2, because for these 2 you have given separate accounts, right? So for all the vendors other than these 2, you can select another account here. I'll go for another account. Just for example sake, I'm selecting another account. See here. So if I do transactions with these vendors, this account will get debited and created. If I do transactions with this group of vendors, any of the vendor falling into this domestic group, this account will get affected. Balances will be posted to this account. If it is invoice, credit balances will be posted. If it is payment, debit balance will be posted to this account. Parallelly, for the vendor also balance will be posted. In the vendor transaction we have seen, right? So there also balance will be affected for the vendor, as well as into the account also balance will be posted. But here you have group of vendors, right? So the consolidated balance will be posted into this account for this group of vendors. But if I don't want all these kind of differentiations, I don't want groups, I want single account for all the vendors, means I'll just create it as all. Okay, I'll also remove it and show you once again. Okay, I'll just create add, select the table account code as all, means you can't select anything. You can neither select a account or nor a group of vendors. You can't select a vendor or vendor group. You can, which means like all the vendors are selected now, and I can give that summary account here for all the vendors. 2 lakhs, sorry, not 2 lakh one, it's 2 lakhs accounts payable account I have gave here. So now what happens is whenever I do transaction for any of the vendor that I have, all the balances will get affected to this particular account only. Okay, again there will be a link always for each vendor to account. So I'll show you how that link can be identified or how that can be reconciled with general ledger to sub ledger. I'll explain you that part. So is it clear for all of you how we can differentiate this or how we can use these options to create link different main accounts to different vendors, or for all the vendors at a time single account, or how we can group them? Got the logic understood or any confusion?
Yeah, understood.
Okay. Other than Sushila, Sairam Shankar.
Yes, yes.
Okay, then Saideep, Santosh, Bala.
Yes, bro.
Okay. Got the logic right. Most of them will have group wise or they will have single account for all. That's all. For each vendor, they will definitely not give any account. So this summary account is the main account. Actually, this is the account that will get affected or debited or credited whenever we post any transactions for the vendor. Okay. So other than this, we have few other accounts here. What are these? This is liquidity account for payments. Liquidity account for payments, I can normally give a cash account or a bank account. So if I give a cash account, this is not for the sake of any payments, just a maintenance account here. So that what happens with this is it will for the cash flow forecast, this will help actually to look into this account how much we have to pay to all the vendors. You will it will show the balance, right? Normally accounts payable credit balance, it will show how much liability we have in the accounts. So in here we will have some liquid amount, how much we can pay to I mean how much liquid amount is available in our cash account, so for reaching this liability or for paying this liability. Just for that cash flow forecast sake, we can give that account. It is not compulsory that you have to give this account. Then we have an account for sales tax prepayments. So normally in some countries, on prepayment, sales tax will be accounted separately into a prepayment account. So in India, normally sales tax on prepayments is calculated into normal sales tax account only. But in the countries where they want to maintain a prepayment account for sales taxes. Once you make any advance payment, in the advance payment, the sales tax amount can also be calculated. So that can be given here, sales tax prepayment account. Not compulsory, but again a maintainable field. One compulsory thing is this main account. This you should not avoid. You should definitely give this main account, summary account. Okay, here we have some options called arrival and offset account. These two accounts are for a different process. We have a process called as vendor registration, vendor approval, registration, and another process. I mean vendor registration, pooling, and approval. So for that process, normally we use these accounts. So system will automatically use this account during registration rather than this account. It will use this arrival account for temporary purpose. For temporary registration of invoice, we can use these accounts, and it will automatically take on offset account also. So how this works, I'll show you sometime. Okay, going further we will discuss. So but this is the one account that I'm giving here. Then I have some option for allow automatic settlements. It normally settles the vendor invoices with the vendor payments. Again, this have some parameters in accounts payable parameters. Accordingly, it will work. If we give automatic settlement there in the vendor parameters, accounts payable parameters, and the condition that we give there, according to that, it will normally settle the vendor invoices with payment transactions automatically according to the amount or date, like that. Okay, then this cancel, I don't think it is having any prominence, but we never use this option, so I just disable this too. Okay, other than this, I have this option closing. So normally this closing is used for I don't know, not used again, but you can use one of the posting profile again here for closure. Normally we use the same posting profile for all the activities. Sometimes there can be requirements in business that they want different posting profile. Okay, different posting profile. How we can use different posting profile? Normally you can use a single posting profile. Other than this, you can create one posting profile like prepayment posting profile. I'll tell you why we use this option. Okay. Normally advance payments made to the vendors are not posted to accounts payable account because accounts payable account is a liability account, right? Normally we don't pay it directly to that account. Instead, the advance payment that we pay to vendors are accounted as assets, right? So prepayment account should get debited rather than accounts payable account when we make any prepayments according to our business logic. So for that, we can give that summary account here as prepayment expense account, prepaid expenses account, or you can give any prepayment account here. We don't have any prepayment account. In the asset accounts, we don't have any prepayment account, so we can create one prepayment account here. So when doing any prepayment transactions, we can change the posting profile actually. We can change the posting profile, or we can also give it as a default posting profile for prepayments. I'll show you where we have to give it. Okay, I'll give this account as so 1 lakh, so 1 lakh 11 prepayment. Okay, and prepayment is always a sorry, asset account. So I'll give it as um, prepaid AP just for example sake, or I can give it as a prepaid liability account also, as you wish. Prepaid expense or prepaid liability, anything you can give. So prepaid expense I'll give, suppose prepaid expenses are always assets, right? So I'll give it as an asset account. So here I'll give it as a same account. So whenever we do any prepayment transactions, it's not showing. I think it's, I mean, it will show 1 second. Click on show all. It will show it loading. It will take some time. So when we are doing any prepayment transactions, we will use this prepayment posting profile other than general posting profile, so that this account will get affected. I'll show you how we can use both the posting profiles. While we do some payment transactions, I'll show you how the posting profile can be changed and how it get affected. Okay, this is all about how we can configure a posting profile and how we can link account to different segments, like for each vendor or for a group of vendors or for all vendors at a time. Okay. Got it, guys? Any confusion in this part? Anyone? No, right?
No.
Okay, wonderful. So if there is no confusion in this, there is one more important setup that you should not miss once after you configure posting profile. You have to give this posting profile as a default posting profile in the accounts payable parameters. Okay, for that I'll show you how you can do it. So in accounts payable, normally you go to setup. Here you have setup. Under setup we have accounts payable parameters, as you can see here. Accounts payable setup and accounts payable parameters. Click on accounts payable parameters. And you can see some option here called ledger and sales tax here. So here is a place where you have to give this posting profile. The main posting profile that we use, you have to give it here under this posting profile. Posting profile, you have to give general. I mean the one that we created, main posting profile, which is having the accounts payable account. For if you scroll little down, you have some options like for prepayment invoice, what should be the posting profile that has to be used. Here you can give prepayment posting profile. Again here for payment, for posting profile for payment journals with prepayment. Here you can give prepayment posting profile. So that whenever you are doing a prepayment transaction, so there is an option when we are doing payment, we can mark it as a prepayment. So once you mark it as a prepayment, automatically this posting profile will be picked instead of this posting profile, because system consider it as a prepayment. So this account will be picked, or the prepayment expense account will get debited instead of accounts payable account. Okay, 1 second guys, 1 second. Sorry for that again. Okay. So these are the areas where we can give the posting profiles as default. So this one is the main posting profile. These are for prepayment purpose. So how system will pick these prepayment posting profiles and accounts from this, I'll show you going further. Okay. So do not forget this minor configuration where you have to give the posting profiles. Okay. This is important. So now if you have any doubts, just let me know. If you don't have any doubts, we can drop off, no problem. So this would be all. Tomorrow we will see. Tomorrow I think it won't be possible for me to take class actually. I have some work tomorrow around 8 p.m. only. Sorry for that, but if I would manage it quickly, then I can take. But I don't think I can manage it. So we'll meet on Saturday. Definitely. We'll again Saturday, right? Yeah, Saturday. We'll again discuss on Saturday.
JP, I have a doubt.
Yes, I please.
ఈ ప్రీపేమెంట్ వెండర్ పోస్టింగ్ ప్రొఫైల్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాం కదా,
చేస్తాం.
అందులో మనం క్రియేట్ చేసిన మొత్తం కూడా ఆల్రెడీ పోస్టింగ్ ప్రొఫైల్ క్రియేట్ చేసాం కదా, జనరల్ పోస్టింగ్ ప్రొఫైల్ ఉంది కదా,
అవును.
అందులో ఎట్లయితే సెగ్రిగేట్ చేసామో అట్లాగే ఉండాలి ఎగ్జాక్ట్ గా.
అలా ఏం లేదు. ఇక్కడ నువ్వు వెండర్స్ కి డిఫరెంట్ అకౌంట్స్ ఇచ్చుకోవచ్చు, బట్ ప్రీపేమెంట్ కి మాత్రం అన్ని వెండర్స్ కి ఒకటే అకౌంట్ ఇచ్చుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే. దట్స్ అలాంటి కండిషన్ ఏం లేదు. అలానే ఉండాలి, రెండు ఒకేలా ఉండాలని ఏం లేదు. ఓకే. ఇక్కడ డిఫరెంట్ అకౌంట్స్ పేబుల్ అకౌంట్ ఇచ్చుకోవచ్చు అన్ని వెండర్ గ్రూప్స్ కి సపరేట్ గా అకౌంట్ పేబుల్ డొమెస్టిక్, అకౌంట్స్ పేబుల్ ఫారెన్ అనే అకౌంట్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసి ఇచ్చుకోవచ్చు. బట్ ప్రీపేమెంట్ కి మాత్రం ప్రీపేమెంట్ ఎక్స్పెన్స్ అని ఒక అకౌంట్ ఇచ్చుకుంటే చాలు.
ఓకే ఓకే.
అది క్లయింట్ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ బట్టి వాళ్ళు మల్టిపుల్ అకౌంట్స్ కావాలంటే మల్టిపుల్ ఇవ్వచ్చు, బట్ నార్మల్లీ దే విల్ గో ఫర్ సింగిల్ అకౌంట్ ఓన్లీ.
ఓకే.
So in the next class, I mean maybe on Saturday, we'll discuss about how these posting profiles get affected, how we can post some payments again. There I'll show you how we can make payments, and I'll also show you how we can make invoices or invoice journals topic. Okay, non-PO invoices which does not involve any purchase order, expense invoices what we can also call sometimes. Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can stay back and ask. If not, you can drop off. I'll just stop the recording until here. Bye guys. See you in the next class on Saturday.